We are back. The winter freeze is officially over,
Yeah.
the garage doors are rolling up, and the dead silence of the off-season is about to be completely shattered.
Absolutely shattered.
You have been waiting for this, and let me tell you, the tension in the paddock right now is palpable. You can practically hear a pin drop in those garages. We are staring down the barrel of the 2026 Formula One season, and if you had any predictions locked in, throw them out.
Just awesome.
Toss them right out the window. Because I'm looking at a massive stack of sources right in front of me. We have telemetry traces from the Barcelona shakedown, the raw sector times from the Bahrain tests, and a heavily highlighted, dog-eared copy of the revolutionary 2026 FIA technical regulations.
And before we jump completely into the weeds on that data, I do need to mention that this segment is part of our news coverage of recent F1 events.
Right, absolutely. And the data from those events is telling a wild story. The winter is over, the testing is done, and the 24 race crucible is here. We are heading straight for the season opener at the Australian Grand Prix.
That's right. And the core objective of this deep dive on DRS Zone today is to really decode the massive revolutionary technical regulation changes of 2026. We are analyzing the shocking revelations from the Barcelona shakedown and the Bahrain testing, and we are going to prepare you for the total chaos about to unfold in Melbourne.
Because it is going to be chaos.
Oh, complete chaos.
Yeah.
Because the rulebook hasn't just been tweaked for 2026, it has been torn up and completely rewritten.
Torn to shreds. Let's set the battlefield first to get you hyped. Albert Park in Melbourne. This isn't just your standard racetrack. It is a high-speed, concrete-lined street circuit monster. We are talking 5.278 kilometers of pure, unadulterated adrenaline.
It is unforgiving.
14 unforgiving corners waiting to bite you. 5 snapping left, 9 ripping to the right, 1 microscopic error, and 1 slight lockup on the brakes, and you are immediately in the wall. It's a relentless sprint, but this year, it feels entirely different, doesn't it?
It really does. And that sheer uncertainty is what makes this weekend so fascinating. With the 2026 regulation reset, the past hegemonies of Mercedes and Red Bull, their ancient history.
Go on.
Any assumptions you had are out the window. We are talking about the removal of the MGU-H, a massive shift toward a 50-50 power split between the internal combustion engine and the electrical battery system.
Right.
And, of course, the introduction of active aerodynamics. It is a completely blank piece of paper for every single aerodynamicist on the grid.
Starting from absolute zero. I mean, you can imagine the engineers have been sweating bullets all winter. The sleepless nights in the factories must have been insane. But let's cut through the testing smokescreen right now and talk about the heavy hitters, the big four. Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, and Red Bull. I want to start with Brackley because the news coming out of the Mercedes camp is terrifying for the rest of the grid.
It really is.
They have found a massive edge.
They have. And the context of that edge is what makes it so significant. Whenever there is a major regulation change, the smartest minds look for the gray areas, right? The 2026 regulations put a heavy emphasis on electrical energy recovery, specifically from the rear axle.
Yeah.
What our sources indicate is that Mercedes found a very novel way to map their kinetic motor generator unit, the MGUK. It basically allows them to harvest energy aggressively during trail braking without unsettling the rear suspension.
Which gave them a distinct step up in testing. And the paddock was in an absolute uproar over it. During the Bahrain test, everyone thought it had to be illegal. They thought it was a breach of the technical directives. But the verdict came down from the FIA, and they are officially cleared.
Exactly. The new power unit has been cleared of any illegality.
It's legal.
It is legal. And you have to consider the psychological impact of that. To innovate under a completely new set of regulations, and then to have the governing body stamp it as legal, that gives them immense confidence. It puts them a definitive step above the competition right out of the gate.
But wait. Does a legal engine guarantee a reliable one? Because pushing a loophole that far, especially with a brand new 50-50 electrical split, there has to be massive thermal risks there.
That is the big question mark. The packaging required for that MGUK trick means their cooling solutions are incredibly tight. In the cool morning sessions in Barcelona, they looked flawless. But in the heat of a race in Melbourne, following another car in dirty air, thermal degradation of the battery could force them into severe energy-saving modes. So they aren't bulletproof, but they are dictating the terms of engagement.
They are setting the benchmark. But while Mercedes is playing with battery mapping, do not take your eyes off the Scuderia. Let's transition to Ferrari. Because Charles Leclerc laid down the gauntlet with an absolutely blistering preseason lap.
1.3, 1.9992.
1.3, 1.992. He shattered the timing screens. He's signaling to the world that Ferrari is back, and they are incredibly fast.
And what's impressive is where he found that time. The mechanical grip they've engineered into the rear suspension seems to be perfectly married to the new tire compounds in those low-speed traction zones.
Getting the power down early.
Exactly. But if we look at the other side of the garage, the situation is incredibly complex. The pressure on Lewis Hamilton is immense.
Oh, it is off the charts. He is heading into Melbourne, looking to bounce back from what can only be described as a pretty mediocre 2025 debut in red.
It was a tough year for him. And now, under these strict 2026 regulations, Hamilton is carrying the weight of history. The Scuderia is trapped in an agonizing driver's title drought that dates all the way back to Kimi Räikkönen in 2007.
Almost 2 decades of heartbreak.
Right, and Hamilton wasn't brought in just for marketing. He was brought in to end that drought. So seeing Leclerc pull a 1.31.992 out of the new car, it's a stark, immediate reminder of the internal benchmark.
But why is a 7-time world champion struggling to match that pace? Is there something fundamentally mismatched between his driving style and the 2026 cars?
It comes down to the physics. The 2026 regulations mandated a significant reduction in overall downforce and an increase in chassis stiffness. Hamilton has historically thrived with a car that has a planted, incredibly stable rear end.
Letting him brake super late.
Precisely. The 2026 Ferrari, however, seems to be a bit more nervous at the rear, which actually rewards Leclerc's style of dancing on the edge of oversteer. Hamilton has to adapt to this new reality quickly.
Adapting muscle memory while pulling 5 Gs through a corner. Just incredible. All right, let's look at the reigning world champions. McLaren. Lando Norris has the target on his back, and local hero Oscar Piastri is rolling into his home race.
The grandstands are going to be deafening for Piastri.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But what is truly fascinating about the Woking squad is their strategy. If you just looked at the headline times, you'd think they drop back into the midfield. But they are deliberately playing coy, aren't they?
They are hiding their true pace. Pure mind games.
Sandbagging. But how do we know for sure? What does the data say?
The GPS telemetry traces are a dead giveaway. When we overlay Lando Norris's fastest laps against Leclerc's, Norris's mid-corner minimum speeds in the high-speed sections are marginally faster. He has the aero grip.
Right.
But at the end of the main straights, the telemetry shows Norris lifting off the throttle and coasting up to 50 meters earlier than Leclerc before hitting the brakes.
50 meters, so they are actively refusing to show their top speed to shock the grid.
Exactly. They want to arrive in Melbourne and completely shock everyone. They don't need to win the winter testing narrative. They just need to win on Sunday.
The arrogance of it is brilliant. And a quick, punchy reminder about Red Bull Max Verstappen is always a lethal threat.
Always. You can never count him out. The new cars slide around a lot more, and Verstappen thrives in a loose car. He can drive around an aerodynamic deficit better than almost anyone.
You leave a millimeter of space, and he takes the corner. But we need to shift the tone here, because while the Big Four are fighting for millimeters at the front, there's a forceful, passionate frustration at the back of the grid. We have to talk about the Spanish heartbreak.
It is a stark contrast to the front of the pack. Let's look at Aston Martin first. This winter has been disastrous for Fernando Alonso.
Disastrous. A veteran, a legend of the sport, and the AMR 26's engine performance is putting their entire season in check. What is going on under the hood?
The transition to fully sustainable fuels for 2026 fundamentally changed the combustion process. Aston Martin's power unit supplier has run into severe combustion knocking issues. To prevent the engine from tearing itself apart, they have had to drastically map down the power output.
So they are fundamentally compromised on the straights, setting them up for a ridiculously complex and difficult start.
Exactly. They haven't been able to gather accurate aero correlation data because they aren't hitting the required speeds. It's a domino effect.
It is agonizing to watch Alonso in that situation. And Carlos Sainz's debut with Williams, the FW48 failed to show any effective guarantees over the winter.
Right. Williams is battling a severe wind tunnel correlation issue. The aerodynamic loads from their simulations simply are not translating to the actual asphalt.
Unpredictable drag, snap oversteer, they are flying blind. We have to bluntly warn you, the listener. Alonso and Sainz are starting this new era entirely on the back foot. They are likely fighting at the very rear of the grid.
It's the unforgiving nature of the sport. But we also have to anchor this section by reminding you that because 2026 is a total revolution, true race pace remains a complete mystery.
A total shadow play.
Yes. Until the lights actually go out between March 6th and 8th, no one truly knows where the pack will settle.
Which brings us to our final synthesis. The ultimate takeaway for you as we head into the weekend. The grid is completely fractured. These cars are beasts of a new era, and Melbourne will be a ruthless proving ground.
It truly is. Which leaves us with a burning question to chew on as we wrap up this deep dive. With the regulations completely rewritten and Mercedes dancing on the edge of the rulebook, who do you think will actually conquer the chaos of Albert Park? A defending champion playing mind games, or a desperate veteran seeking redemption?
That is the ultimate question. And to survive the 2026 season and master this chaos, you need to follow DRS Zone on all platforms right now. Get on our TikTok, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe on YouTube. You do not want to miss a single second of this coverage. This is DRS Zone signing off. Get ready, because the lights are about to go out in Australia.